Hello, guys. Welcome back to Life with Paulie. I would like to thank all my current subscribers and new subscribers for subscribing to my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button down below and the all notification bell to the right hand side. So, today's video, as you can see, it's sunny out today and the sun just popped out. It was raining all day yesterday and pouring. It poured all night long until early this morning. And then we had some more rain this morning, and now the sun is out a little bit, but they're calling for more rain. I think the next few days is going to be rainy, 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 which I kind of hate when I have to be outside. I am sitting underneath the cover, as you can see here, but the cover does fall down once it gets filled with water, so I have to do something with that. This is my daughter's patio that I'm on now with my puppy. So, yeah. Anyways, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the death of my mother. If you're not familiar with my channel, I lost my mother February 5th of 2022. Now, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer 7 years ago. We might as well say 7 years ago because my mother's been gone a year now, and I'm still not used to her being gone. I wanted to put this out there for everybody because I know there's a lot of people out there that are going through the same situation with their children, their father, their mother, their grandfather, grandmother, and things like that. And there's even some kids that are going through cancer process. Now, when my mother was first diagnosed with cancer, she had told me that she did not want cancer treatment. If you don't know, my father died years ago, 56, of cancer. Then my aunt, she was only 42 years old. She ended up getting lung cancer. She had one lung taken out, one lung left. After she had the one lung taken out at 42, she died because it spread all over her body. And she died in the year of 2000. And my mom, which is my aunt's sister, did not want to go through what my aunt went through. My aunt did get treatment for cancer, but she was always sick. She lost her hair, and she couldn't live life to the fullest. And she wanted the end of her life to be able to live to the fullest, but she could not because she was so sick. And the doctor told my mom 7 years ago that if she did not get treatment, she would only have 6 months to live. So I begged my mom. When he said that, me and my mom looked at each other, and I cried and she cried. And I begged her. I says, Mom, you got to please try to get treatment for me. I said, I'm not ready for you to go yet. And, there's always a possibility that you could live years more. Well, because I begged her and I told her, I says, if you start getting treatment, you start losing your hair, you start getting sick, I said, then we'll stop it. You won't have to do it anymore. You have that choice. I said, but at least try for me. So she agreed and she tried cancer treatment. Now, mind you, 7 years ago, he said that with no treatment, she would only have 6 months to live. And she ended up living an extra 6 years. She did very well with the treatment. She didn't lose her hair. She didn't get sick. She got tired once in a while. But I mean, we were going to the casino. We were going out to eat with my kids and her grandkids. And, we were doing lots of things together. She got to live another 6 years. And she got to live her best life in those 6 years. We would go to the casino. She would go out with her friends, eat lunch, eat dinner at her friend's house, and everything else. And it was just going very well. Then in December of 2021, she ended up getting worse. And she ended up getting to the point where she wasn't eating that much and things like that. Then come January of 2022, she even became worse. She couldn't eat no more, and she got to the point where she couldn't even drink no more. She would sit up in her hospital bed that hospice provided for her, and she would try to drink from a cup or something like that, and she would choke on it. So come to February 1st, well, I would say around January 31st is when she really took a turn for the worse. And the only water that she could take was water that I gave her from an eyedropper or a medicine dropper. You know what I mean? So I was actually giving her water from a medicine dropper. And that's when she got really bad. I called my aunt in PA because I have an aunt that lives in Pennsylvania. And I told her that my mom was doing very bad and she was probably going to be passing soon. So my aunt asked her sons to bring her down here so she could see my mom. I lived in Ravenna, but right now I live by the Catskills. I live right by my daughter. I lived in Rome, sorry, not Ravenna. I lived in Rome, and I just moved down here by my daughter's house. So anyways, they came down and they seen her, and we didn't know how long she was going to last, but she did end up lasting 3 days after my aunt came down to see her. But by that point, she was only drinking water from a dropper. I was giving her morphine and things like that for pain, and because she wasn't feeling good, she wasn't eating no more. She could not eat anymore. And the only water that I could give her was from an eyedropper. And even sometimes she would choke on that. And during that time, in December is when I started to give her showers and I started helping her with that. I had to buy the discreet underwear for her and I had to take care of her, and I made sure that I took care of my mother good. Now, years back, there's times that me and my mom didn't get along. There's a year or two we didn't even talk to each other. But in the end, I was there and I was left all alone. I didn't have nobody with me. It was a very hard situation to deal with alone. Now, my daughter, she wanted to come up and be there for me when my mom did pass. But of course, my daughter and her boyfriend, they have jobs and they work very hard. And we didn't know really when my mom was going to pass. So anyways, I was helping my mom get showers. I was changing her clothes and things like that. At first, my mom didn't feel comfortable with it because I'm her son and I understand that. At first, I didn't feel comfortable with it. But then I said, hey, wait a minute. I did healthcare and I did healthcare. I was in the healthcare industry before I stopped working. And I took care of a lady that had a trach. So I used to suction her trach. I used to put her personal things in during that time of the month and things like that. I said, this is my mother. I got to take care of her. A couple of my brothers said, well, I wouldn't be mad at you if you put her somewhere. We understand it's a lot. I said, no, mom's not going anywhere. She's staying right here with me. But it was very hard for me. And I know that there's a lot of people out there going through the same situation. And I want to say that if you are, you're not alone. I know that there are kids that get cancer and that end up dying of cancer. And I think it's an ugly disease. And I feel bad for those people. I feel bad for the people going through the cancer. And I feel bad for their families because they're losing loved ones. And it was very hard for me. So the night that she died, my mom was laying there and I had a pulsometer on her finger. And what happened was her heart rate shot up to 200 and something, and then it went back down the first time, and then her pulse rate went down. Then the second time it shot up again to 300 and something beats per minute, and then it went way back down, and her pulse rate, oxygen level was even lower. And that's when I called my daughter and I said, I think she's going to die. And she tried to get to my house in time enough. She had to travel an hour and a half with her boyfriend. She tried to get to my house in time enough, but she didn't make it until a half an hour after my mom died. But at least she was there for me then. But before that, my brother left me and everything. He was supposed to stay with me. He left me to be there alone with my mom. But I got to say, I'm glad that I'm the only one that was spending time with her, because at least I got to spend time with her and take care of her the best way that I could while she was dying of cancer. So my daughter did make it, but she made it half an hour after my mom died. The third time, her heart rate went up to 200 and something, and then it went all the way back down to normal. below normal, and then her pulse rate, oxygen level was only at a 40. And I said, well, it's probably going to happen any second now. So I was on the phone with one of my brothers that I don't talk to anymore, and that's because of personal reasons. We just don't talk to each other anymore. We both agreed not to talk to each other anymore. Sometimes family members don't get along, and sometimes that happens even with family members. But I was on the phone with my brother. I got up from the chair beside her, and I turned around to go in my dining room to get something. And when I turned around to go get something, I turned back real quick, and she was already gone. So I think she waited for me to get up, and so I wasn't looking at her, and she just left the world. And that was the most heart-wrenching thing to go through. And at the time, we were hooked up with hospice. Hospice did not do much for me. They didn't support me through the death. They say that they're supposed to support you through death and things like that, but I got no support from them at all. The only support that I received basically was from my daughter. She had got there, and we spent a few hours with my mom, and then I had to call hospice and tell them that she passed away, and they had to call the funeral parlor. One of the hardest things for me, I could say, is when the funeral parlor came, they came in a van. They were dressed very nice, very respectable and things like that. I'm not saying that was bad, but it was very hard for me and my puppy here. As you can see, Annabelle, she loved my mother to death. When my mom died, before my mom died, she was up on my mom's bed by her. After she died, she was still on the bed, and I kept on trying to take her off the bed. She would not let me take her off the bed. She kept on getting up there. It didn't matter where I put her, she kept on getting up there. And finally, I says, oh, let her be, because she knows there's something wrong. So the funeral parlor, the two people come in. It was a woman and a guy, and they came in with the gurney, and they had a red velvet body bag for my mom, and they picked her up off the bed. When they were picking her up off the bed, the dog got off for a minute, but then once my mom was removed from the bed and put in the body bag on the gurney, the dog jumped up there and was going nuts and was wondering where my mother went. And it was wintertime this time of year. It wasn't wintertime, but we had a snowstorm, and there was a lot of snow outside. So anyways, they put my mom in the body bag. They asked me if I wanted the body bag open until they put her in the van, or if I wanted it closed. And I said, please leave it open until you get her in the van. So they did that for me. My mom, I ended up, the city of Oneida ended up paying for her cremation, because I really didn't have the money. At the time, I was the only one in our apartment left, and I was the only one paying the rent. So I didn't have the money to really pay for anything. So I called the funeral parlor, and they did this for my brother's dad too, because my brother's dad, my mom's boyfriend, died a year before her in 2021. And we went through Sprock and Burns Funeral Home in Rome, and I told them that we didn't have the money to bury my mom's boyfriend, my brother's dad. I says, he don't have the money to bury him or do anything. And that's when they told us about the program where the city will pay for the burial. The only thing that I would have had to pay for is to dig the hole and things like that for the grave site. But other than that, the city of Oneida would have paid for everything. But my mom said that she'd rather be cremated if that's what I wanted. And I said, okay, we'll do that then. So the city of Oneida paid for all that. They go by your income. They do ask you your income and things like that. Of course, if you're rich, you're not going to qualify for that. But I want to throw that out there to people too. If you have a loved one that dies, whether it be a mother, father, grandfather, grandmother, child, whatever the case may be, and you do not have the money for services, go to the funeral parlors and ask them if they have a program to pay for you so you do not have to pay or come up with the money. a lot of people might think that's disrespectful or that that's not right, that you should have the money. But a lot of people are strapped for money when something like that happens. Sometimes nobody's prepared for that kind of thing to happen. So you need the help. And you can get the help by asking your local funeral parlor if they have the option for the city to pay for it. They paid for my mom's total cremation. I got my own cremation vase. I got a mother of pearl vase with a rose on it because my mom's name was Rose on it. So I got her a mother of pearl vase, which you've seen my other videos if you go back and watch them about my mom. And it was mother of pearl vase with a rose on it, a golden rose. And that's because her name was Rose. So that's what she was put in. But the city of Oneida paid for the cremation and everything. Paid the funeral parlor for all their services and everything. I didn't have to pay a dime. And you could do the same if you're in a hard predicament where you can't pay for that. You can get help. So just know that. Some funeral parlors won't tell you that. They'll just say, well, we'll hold the body until you got so-and-so, whatever the case may be, okay? Now, of course, they won't pay. Most of the time, they will not pay to dig the hole if you're having a person buried, and they will not pay for the headstone. That's something that you got to do on your own. But they will pay for the burial and the funeral parlor services or full cremation. So keep that in mind. Anybody going through this now? If you're going through this now and you need someone to talk to, just leave in the comments down below and I will try to get back to you. I know there's a lot of people going through this. People with children with cancer, mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, daughters, sons. I know it's hard. And if you need somebody to talk to, you can always leave it in the comments down below and I will always get back to you because I know it's a hard thing to go through. I've been through it and it's still hard on me today. She died February 5th, 2022. It is now almost July of 2023. It's still very hard on me. Of course, when you lose a mother and a father, that's the hardest because you only get one mother or father in life, and that's it. And if you're not going through this, think to yourself about your loved ones. Think to yourself about your loved ones. Show them as much love as you can while they are here on this earth because you never know when life is going to take a turn for the worst. It don't have to be cancer. It could be a car accident. It could be a plane crash. You never know. Everybody has the chance of dying no matter what they do. They have a chance of dying every day. So make every day with your family and your friends special. And don't forget that in a second it can change. But you will feel a lot better about it if you're there for them while they're there and you support them while they're here on this earth. So again, if you're going through this or your experiences, I would love to hear about your experiences with cancer, whether it's a family member or yourself. You can comment down below. And I just wanted to explain the story about my mom and how hard it was to watch her go. Please hit the subscribe button down below, and I thank you for watching.